Please put your cell phone on silent or vibrate. Appreciate that if everyone took a moment. My name is Sue Harrington. I'm the director of the Nathan D. Rosen Museum Gallery. This is my second show, so I'm really excited. I was super excited about my first show, too. I think we've just had some really phenomenal artists here on this exhibit. Today I'd like to thank, before we start, several important people who are here. Mrs. Rosen, who of course is the namesake for the Nathan D. Rosen Museum Gallery. I met Mrs. Golden. Is Mr. Golden here also? Are either of them? They're out looking at the exhibit. And are there any members of the Art, Cultural, and the Literary Committee here? I know if you were here earlier after that. Okay. We really rely on these people to keep us going, and their vision and their support is just so critical, and I want to say thank you to them for being here. The format for today is we're going to have Erik Kucera, whose work is out in the hall, is going to talk to us a little bit about what he does. And then H. Ellen Benowitz, whose work is paired with the ceramic pieces in the gallery, is going to tell us about some of the latest things. He's quite the world traveler. So, Erik Kucera founded what's called Surreallations. There's lots of information about his bio, and we have it pieces out in the lobby, in the hall that you can pick up. I think what I'd like to say about working with him and his work is he has such a phenomenal and unique way of combining elements, color, symbolism. Every time I look at a piece of his work, I learn something new about myself or about the world I live in. And I think that that's the mark of really exceptional art. So without any further ado, I have one other thing. Sorry, I forgot one thing. This entire exhibition is dedicated in memory of Madeline Parr. I'll read a little bit about her. Madeline was a very special woman, benefactor, and lover of the arts. We will celebrate her life and her contributions to our community. A special piece of artwork titled "Give a Piece of Your Heart" by Erik Kucera will become a permanent part of the Nathan D. Rosen Museum Gallery collection. Erik's current collection is on display right now, and he will be joining us for this talk and for a question and answer period afterwards. Right now I'd like to introduce Dawn Ross, Erik's wife, and she's going to start us off.
Hello everybody. So thank you. So thank you so much for coming out. We really, really do appreciate it. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday, so that a lot of people might want to be running off afterwards, but I appreciate your love of the arts and your desire to come here and see what we've put together. Talking about Erik and his Surreallations, when we were in Austria, we've only been here now in the country for about 3 years. We were previously to that in Austria, and we had some pieces we were sending out to different exhibitions in the States. And one of them had actually been here to the JC at the Rosen Gallery, and we were quite excited about it. And the piece that we had sent was a tzedakah box. It looks like a little bear. And actually, it's here at the gallery, and it became part of the permanent collection here. And so we've always had quite a soft spot for the Rosen Gallery and doing work with them. So we're very, very grateful and happy to Susanna and to Sue's put together such a wonderful show for us. And Kathy, Slutsky, who had retired recently, was one of the people who've been working with us originally on this. So I just wanted to give a little background before Erik comes up and speaks about the art. Surreallations is a piece of artwork that has meaning and depth and the illusion of movement within it. It was actually a phrase that was coined by one of the art directors at the Norton Gallery of Art, who had seen some of his work and was so impressed by it and said, "What do we call it?" And I said, "I don't know, what would you call it?" And all together we came up with Surreallations. And since then that's been the name of the work that he's produced. Erik had originally started out as a young boy. I put up a calendar. I put up here a map that you can see from Slovakia, which is where he's from. Originally Czechoslovakia, and now it is the Slovak Republic. And in this time, Erik was actually working, first just doodling a little bit as a child, always interested in art and fascinated by anything mechanical. And eventually went to school and learned to do goldsmithing and jewelry. And with that, part of it was, being able to work with his hands and create these pieces and make these wonderful works of art. But on the other hand, it was also a lot of drawing techniques that he learned at the time, because you were supposed to make different designs of the art and make different sketches of what the jewelry was going to look like before you actually put it into place. So then he learned to work with gold and with jewels and to put together wonderful pieces of art. But he found that a lot of the passion that he had was really in the drawings and being able to do that kind of work. And as he had progressed and gone through the many years of doing jewelry work, he realized that a lot of what he wanted to do was more just from his heart and his desire to put pieces together. Being a jeweler, a lot of people came to him and would bring him designs and say, copy this, make that, do it like this. And if you know anybody who's an artist, this is like an anathema to them. They want to be able to just produce what they want to create. And he would tell me about sketches he'd get from people. And in the end, the piece that he would create would look nothing like what they had asked for in the first place. But they were so amazed by this, okay, great, that's fantastic, I'll keep it anyway. So there was that kind of back and forth. And now he has the freedom to be able to just create what he wants, put together those pieces, and make something very special. And here you see, this is one of his first black and white pieces. We actually have this here in the gallery, the original piece. You see, this is where really the Surreallations theme started. And you'll notice that in a lot of pieces of the work that he does, there's always this kind of pattern that you see, this sort of checkerboard pattern that flows and moves within all the pieces. It's kind of inviting you to come into it and take a ride. And so with these pieces, he first started off just doing these black and whites, but wanting to have this effect that people could look at and feel like they were moving and traveling with it. And from that expanded into more pieces, adding color to it little by little, and eventually becoming the really beautiful, bright, rich pieces that you were able to see as you walk through the gallery today. So through the effect of the Surreallations, he's always managed to kind of keep a little bit of that. Maybe the checker pattern you see won't always be black and white. Maybe there'll be different colors to it, but there'll always be sort of that seed of the beginning of where this all started within all of the pieces that he puts together. And that being said, we've progressed now into the point where we are here. We're living now in the States. We've been here, like I said, 3 years, and we've had some wonderful opportunities to work with some great organizations. And one of the things that Erik is working on currently, which is one of the sets that you saw as you walked in the gallery, which is the 7 Days of Creation. And this is actually a piece that was commissioned by the Meyer Academy, if you're familiar with them, working with the JCC that's up in Palm Beach Gardens. And they've asked for these pieces to be created as part of glass work that's going to be like a stained glass that's going to be part of the permanent building facade within the organization. And so there's a lot of symbols, a lot of imagery, and I have to say that every piece that we do, or that Erik does, I consider myself just helpful to him because there's research. Pieces are not just thrown together. There's some pieces where you see for him, his brain has taken a break, and you'll just see like a collage of colors, and he said, okay, I can't think anymore, I just want to paint. And then we go back into a month of research before a piece gets put together. Just what are the symbolism, what does it mean, the gematria, the meaning of the numbers and what they mean in the symbols of each piece. So there's really a lot of rich symbolism and meaning to each piece, but it's also whatever you find it. And we're always fascinated when we sit and we think we've covered everything, and there's a page of description on the piece, and then somebody will say, hey, but what about this? And we say, oh my gosh, you're right, that's fantastic. And so it's all very interactive, finding those kind of images and meanings within the works. So what Erik's going to talk about, just really briefly, is just some of the symbolism in 3 of the pieces from the collection of the 7. And then we'll be open to answering any questions. We'll be walking through the gallery. We can talk about anything that you'd like to ask questions about or that you'd be interested in knowing some more about. There's also a wonderful piece out front that I invite everybody to play around with. As Erik has gone back into more of 3-dimensional work, we also have a lot of interactive pieces that are meant to be touched and played with and moved around and kind of have fun with. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Erik up now. Come on, and have a little talk about the pieces.